welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna show you bookbinding, and this is something I haven't done so many times myself, but I have been spending months and months watching videos and wanting to do one, so here we go. What I did: first I went to my trusty dollar store and I got this really cheap sketchbook, but as you can see the size is A3, so it's really big. It would have led to me having an A4 notebook, which could come in handy for certain times, but it's not what I wanted. I wanted more travel size for your convenience. So I split every sheet in two before I folded them, so I would have A4 folding it to A5. I have two methods to use if I want to bind it together. I can use an excessive amount of glue here to glue all of the sheets together, but that would require a bit more specific glue than just a regular hobby glue like this one. So what I'm gonna go for is the old-fashioned sewing technique. It's not all that difficult really, and you can invest in very expensive sewing thread for bookbinding if you want, which is literally just waxed linen thread, but I'm just going for a regular cotton thread. I'm gonna use it double to strengthen it a bit. If you would like to have the thread as strong as possible, you can also go for just a regular dental floss thread that doesn't have any flavor. You will of course need a needle. It doesn't need to be pointy at all actually, because you're gonna make holes with a tool like this, for example, or with a bigger sewing needle. With this kind of equipment like this one, it's kind of smart to have something underneath so you don't stick markings or holes to anything, and so you can be certain to actually get the pointy end all through the paper. When you're done making the holes, you're gonna start the sewing, but to make sure that the holes are in the same spot everywhere, it's a good idea to make some kind of template like this. I have made the outline here and here the size of my sheet, and these shorter ones, that is where I'm gonna stick the holes in the paper before I start sewing. So here we go. So now when I'm gonna start sticking the holes, the process is kind of simple. I line it up very close to this edge, but not completely on top of it. Make sure the outlines are touching the outline of the paper. This way I will make certain all of the dots will end up same spot. And then I just prick the holes. And because I have this cork plate underneath, I don't need to worry about making any markings anywhere. So as you can see, holes where they should be. Now I just need to remember to put them the same way in the new stack, so I don't mix up what way they are. And now is the boring part, repeating this way many times. So in order to save a little bit of time and patience, I've decided to do 2 and 2 at a time. If the paper you're using is not too thick, you can also go for 3 or maybe 4 at the same time. But this paper is really thick paper. If I take more than 2, max 3 at the same time, I think holes will be very big on a few of the sheets, and maybe not big enough on the bottom types. So I'm gonna just stick with 2 and 2, but it will still save me some time. Just make sure you line them as good as you can. Being really thorough on this part actually affects on the end result, so take your time and make it as good as you can. It will save you some frustration later and a considerable amount of cutting at the end. So as you can see, I have now finished making holes, and now all of my sheets are double, 2 and 2 together. What I forgot to mention earlier was that in order to get the perfect H shape that goes like this with the thread and then loops back without going into the holes again, so you will take up everything you have made, you need to have an uneven number. I have chosen to go with 7 holes. That way you start sewing like this, and then you loop and go back like this. So since I'm done with the holes now, and as you can see they are also lined up quite nicely, so I don't think I will have to do much cutting here to make the book look flat and even. Also, if you don't do it, it will clearly show that you have made it by hand, which kind of increases the value if you give it away as a gift for someone. Now it's time to start sewing, and since I'm gonna go for regular cotton thread, I have already cut a really big amount, couple of meters, because I'm having it double, and if I have it too short, I will maybe get halfway before I need to put a new thread. Then I start with my first sheets, and I want this knot to be on the outside so it's not visible on the inside. So I start like this. When you pull the thread, be a bit careful so it doesn't knot up. That doesn't look nice. And this first sheet is kinda not all that difficult. I have on purpose chosen a white thread. Of course you can choose thread in any color you want. Some people actually enjoy the look of, for example, blue or red or green thread inside the book, so they can actually see the book binding that has been done. And don't pull too tight. If you pull too much when you do this, you risk the thread starting to cut itself into the paper and make damages to the holes, which will not look nice. And there I managed to get a small knot. And now just to round up, I'm taking an extra loop here. So I can make a small knot here. And I'm making this small knot around here so the thread will stay here. This is a little bit of a fickling thingy. There, I'm ready for my next set of sheets. So I start the same way. But now I'm also gonna do an extra knot here. Like that. So I've run out of thread and I've already prepared the next one. So I'm just gonna make a knot, just regular knot, as close as I can to here. And I'm also gonna try to make a knot that doesn't slide open so easily. I just don't want this knot to be visible from the inside. So that should do the trick. And it doesn't matter if these ends are sticking out, you're gonna cover this side anyway. And then you just continue sewing. So I'm done sewing. As you can see, all of the sheets are now together like this. Now I'm gonna attach my cover, and I've chosen not too stiff cardboard like this. Again, I've taken an A4 sheet and split in two, and these not so nice looking edges will be here, so this can be hidden under the band I will use as the back of my book, like this. I'm just using regular glue and a brush, and I've also prepared a bookmark, just some kind of nice looking ribbon, and I've attached glue at the end here so it doesn't frizzle up while being used. So what I will do is to cover this part here with glue, but in order to not have glue on the other pages, I will just use this page, for example, underneath, so it can catch up all the glue that might go on the outside. Just cover it with an even layer of glue and make sure also the edges are covered. That is why you need the extra paper underneath. The most important part is the outer edges. The center here is not equally important, but it of course will be a nicer result if you cover the entire sheet. So the bigger pencil you have, the quicker it will go, but this was the biggest I have. Hobby glue like this is drying fairly quickly, but not so quick so you don't have time to put the paper on, luckily. And then I just line this up as neatly as I can. Like this. And in order for this to dry in a nice way, you will need to put it in pressure. You will need to put something flat on top and something heavy on top of that, so it dries flatly like this. And then again, I hide the not so nice end here. Like that. And now I need to put it in pressure so it doesn't dry and become really crooked. When it's dried, I will attach this as a back, but I will need to wait to show you until it has dried. So now when the book has been drying for a bit, its edges here is quite a lot stiffer than they were before I glued the cardboard on. It will still need to be under pressure overnight, but before I put it overnight, I'm gonna glue the cover here and attach my bookmark that is gonna be on the book as well. The bookmark, I'm gonna make it quite simple. I'm gonna just I was thinking about sewing a few stitches here, and then put glue on it to make it stick a bit better. Then I'm gonna cover the back of the book with this. Quite simple ribbon band, and I'm gonna attach it with quite a lot of glue, so it's gonna be quite messy here. And when this is done, I'm gonna leave it under pressure overnight. So here we go. So the stitches I put here doesn't need to really be pretty, I just need to attach them somehow. And this is just to make sure it doesn't rip out when in use. And I'm not gonna spend an excessive amount of sewing here either. Just a few stitches to secure it a bit more. Like that. So with that sewn, I'm now gonna cover the edges here with a bit of glue. And here you can put quite a lot of glue on. It's gonna help to stabilize the back of your book. Of course, again, if you invest in proper bookbinding glue, it might help you quite a bit, but from what I've seen, mostly it will do just fine with just regular glue as well. As long as you're doing the sewing anyway, the glue is just to help stabilize just a little bit. And also I'm folding in the edges here so it looks nice at the end as well. And then I'm just gonna tuck some glue in on the inside here, so this goes flat. And I'm Putting some glue on the edges here as well, because this is going to be folded around. And as you see, I choose to put the glue on the ribbon itself instead of on the book, because I'm trying to limit how much glue is sticking out. And now I made a mess for myself here by moving this, but I can fix this. And this is one of the reasons why it will need to be under pressure overnight, because this part here is of course not gonna stick so nicely down without any pressure. And of course this is still a bit moist. It's not very badly moist, but a little bit, so it will need some extra time drying. And then I repeat on this side as well. And it's not a problem if the ribbon gets completely soaked by the glue. Regular hobby glue goes kind of see-through when it dries. And you will get some glue on your fingers, no question about that. Like that. And now I will put this under pressure again, and I'm getting help from my trusty old sewing machine. Oops, sorry about that. To help this get really flat. So, as you can see, this is the end result here. This is what the book looks like. And I'm just in the process of decorating the front with a bit of butterflies, because I figured those would be really pretty to have on the front of this book. I'm using just regular stickers like this, and since these are kind of thin golden stickers, they are a bit difficult to peel off. I have to be a bit careful so I don't ruin them, and I will get additional extras in between here that I need to kind of get away somehow. But they are really pretty. It's one of my favorite stickers that I have found so far. And I don't really think I need so much in the front of this, really. I think this is kind of good enough, and then I will take one of these really tiny butterflies that I have here. Maybe one of these, to have a bit of a different profile to the butterflies in the front. You don't really actually need to decorate the front of your book at all. if you like it just the way it is, without any decoration, or you happen to use some kind of cardboard with a pattern or something, then that's kind of enough as it is. If you want to, you can also cover this with just some kind of textile or some kind of scrapbooking paper that looks really pretty. You just decide for yourself what the book will look like. But the end result is kind of something like this. The book is ready for use. As you can see, the glue is still a bit visible in the band. It's okay. It is to be expected, unless you use a really thick band, of course. If you have a paper cutter, like a really big paper knife, you can of course cut away so everything is equally, everything is even. I don't have anything of the sort, and I kind of don't think it matters so much, because now everyone can see that this is a book that I have made myself. If I would give this away as a Christmas present to someone, for example, Christmas is after all upcoming, they would know I have made this from beginning to the end. So this is the way that I make a simple notebook like this. I use paper that doesn't have any lines right now, because I happen to use sketch paper. So if you liked the video, please press like. Press subscribe if you want to see more of my videos and be notified when I upload a new one. Remember to tick off the bell icon, because otherwise you won't get a notification in your cell phone or on your computer that I have uploaded anything. And if you have any questions for me, if there is anything you want to say to me, please drop me a comment and I will answer as soon as I can see it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!